Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie Podcast. Hopefully you're having a great week. Thursday is back. They fly by, man. I can't believe it's Thursday already. But exciting. Got a good show for you today. And, we're getting close to golf here, so I'm pretty excited. Before we get into today's episode, just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Titleist and the Pro V1 and Pro V1X golf ball. For the best in the world, the goal is to improve every day. Same goes for all of us dedicated to this game, and it starts with choosing a golf ball you can trust. The Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X have set the standard for performance, and now they've just got better. Again. Both models are engineered with high gradient core technology that delivers lower long game spin for more distance and more controlled ball flight. And of course, you can expect the trusted drop and stop greenside control, so important to shooting lower scores. Pro V1 is the best combination of distance, spin, and feel in the game and delivers a more penetrating ball flight. Pro V1X, my ball, flies higher and spins more in the short game while still giving you low spin on longer shots to maximize your distance. Outperform your best. Learn more about the new Pro V1 and Pro V1X at Titleist.com. So, it is another Thursday. Been doing a lot of building down here in the shop, actually, which is pretty interesting. Also been getting ready for, next week, Best Irons shows up. So just in time to go along with Masters, we'll have the Best Irons list out, a bunch of categories. Been working on that, helping the team out. So been busy, but been working down in the shop. Got a lot of stuff, been shafting up some stuff. Got a lot of stuff ready to go, and now I just need some time to go hit it, which I think I'll have starting next week. Like I said, I've been really busy this week getting some stuff done. Did get out and hit some stuff, but it was kind of limited. And then, next week and going forward, I should have some more time to definitely hit more balls and, get out in the course and all that. So it was just pretty exciting because I've got a good amount of stuff. I'm excited. I got a handful of golf bags to review, which is pretty awesome. I've got 4 to get to review right out of the gate, which I'm super excited for. It'll be great. I've got at least 1, 2, 3. I got 3 wood shafts, another putter shaft, iron shafts. I got a bunch, so it's pretty awesome. I actually got more than that for wood shafts in terms of reviewing, but I built up 3. I know a lot of people are asking me about the Artera shafts. Kind of the brand new shaft company from Alex D. You may know him from his days at Fujikura. There's been a lot of stuff probably going around social media and some other outlets. Just got the shafts in, just got tips on them. Just got them actually gripped this morning. So glue's dried, grips are done, and they are ready to roll. So I've got the gray and the blue, both models. And then the other wood shaft, I got the brand new, as you can probably see behind me. Actually, one of the Arteras is right behind me on my wall. And then I've also got the new Tensei 1K Pro Red on there as well, or 1K Pro, 1K Red. I've always get those two parts mixed up, but I got the new Red, which is the high launch part from the Tensei line, the 1K line. So that's kind of exciting. I've really liked blue so far, so I'm pretty excited to hit red. We'll see how it kind of compares to some of the other red profiles out there, but always looks really cool, looks really well. And then I also have one of the Diamana putter shafts that I just put in. So the Bettinardi, the BB1 that I just got, just through the Diamana putter shaft. It's a 105 1.0 flex. And I'll tell you what, I love graphite putter shafts. You guys know I'm all about them. I'm bought in. I will say that the Diamana putter shaft may be one of the sweetest I've seen in terms of looks. I've only had a few putts down here with it so far, but in terms of looks, I want to say that it might be pretty sweet. Now, I've never seen the Acra one that has a similar kind of diagonal weave in it. I've only seen kind of photos of it. I've never seen it in person, but the high gloss, the Diamana one, and it's like the weave up top with the little flower band, and then it fades into black down near the tip. Mitsubishi did a really good job with that. It looks really, really good. So I'm excited to hit that and do some putts. And then the Ping was I did the shafts on those. Then the Ping PLD 2D that I have, I was gonna cut it down, and then I was like, heck with it. I'm gonna put in the KBS GPS 120. So I threw that in there, a shaft I'm familiar with. I had to sand it down though because it is a 355 taper for those PLDs. So if you have a PLD and you want to reshaft it, it is a 355 taper, which is a little bummer, but I sanded down the GPS. Took me a long time to do it carefully and got that installed. But and then everything else I've got. So it's been a busy day down in the, busy time down in the shop, which is good. And like I told you guys, I've been kind of taking a little more care in the work, doing a little more higher quality work. So, we've got nice looking ferrules and all that. And honestly, I've gotten really good at the all fit ferrules, pulling those bad boys, because they're little rubber ferrules, a little bit like Ping is. But I've got it where I can yank those things off with no damage. And then it's just a matter of removing a little bit of epoxy or whatever to get the rubber ferrule off, and I've been pretty good at it. So knock on wood, I've been able to pull that off pretty well the past few shafts. So that's been going well. But yeah, I'm excited. A lot of stuff to hit. I'm super excited to get all this stuff out there. I know a lot of you have asked me a lot of questions about some of this new stuff. So looking forward to it there. And then also, I think I told you guys I put the LA Golf A Series in my PXG 0317 T irons, or I think they call them online like now the 0317 Tours, or hollow bodies. They have a different name for them. But anyway, I got those. PXG was nice enough to send me some new weights, so I got some heavier weights in there. Pretty cool. They sent me the silver weights. I mean, I didn't really ask. I didn't specify. They sent me the silver ones. They look pretty good. I think making that iron look all silver is pretty solid. So got those things up there. I think the 5 iron is the only one that I made you to put just a little strip of lead tape. It's coming at a hair light. Everything there is basically D1. I think the pitching wedge is like D3. And then the 5 iron is coming in right at like D0. So I'll throw just a little bit of lead tape on the 5 iron and we'll be good to go. But they were nice enough to send me some new weights. And I'll tell you what, most of them were easy to get out. The 9 iron, so it takes a T20 Torx bit, but it's a safety bit. So it's got a little hole in the middle. And I was actually, I threw a little heat. I went to pull them, and most of them came out pretty easy. They had they were pretty tight. And then as soon as they broke free, they were good. The 9 iron just wouldn't break free. So I added a little bit of heat to it, tried to get it, didn't work. Got a little more heat to it, and I put the thing, and it actually snapped the tip of the torque bit right off. So the bit was like a piece of the bit was in the weight. Thankfully, it just kind of fell out. It was easy to get out. So I had to order another set of Torx bits, and I was waiting for the weights anyway. But got those in, added even more heat to it, got it out. It was okay. But it even has, like, you look at my Torx bit that I just got, and it's got almost like a little bend to it. So they're not always easy to get out, but got done. Those are built, ready to go. So yeah, we've got some stuff going, man. It's been fun tinkering, and I'm going to have a lot of fun hitting some driver shafts and getting out on the course and doing all that. So it's been a good one. And today we're going to talk about driver shafts, because I know I've gotten a bunch of messages on these shafts asking about them, asking when I was going to review them. I kept saying next week, and then I'd say 2 weeks or whatever, and I just kept pushing it off. And it was just because, like certain other things, like those Bettinardi irons last week, that just like the release date kind of fell in line with the podcast, so I just did that. But today, we're going to finally get to, for all of you who have been asking, and I apologize, and thank you for being patient, we're finally getting into Project X Denali. So I know this, by now it's not the craziest new shaft out there, but Denali is kind of one of the newer shafts from Project X. Now, I know we just saw on tour, they just announced the brand new T11's coming. They've got a brand new T11, a T1100 that's coming out. They're bringing back the handcrafted logo. They're bringing out some rolled shafts in San Diego, which is pretty cool. But that is not available at retail yet. It's only tour, and we don't know when it's coming for retail yet. I guess the process takes a lot longer to hand roll these things only in San Diego and do whatever. So I don't think we're going to see them for a little bit, because all the parts right now are going straight to tour, but we will see them eventually. But the Denali was just before that released, and there's Denali Blue, Denali Black. Denali Black is, of course, this one's blue, and then here's the black. And the black is, of course, one of the stock options in Callaway drivers. So if you go get yourself a Paradigm AI Smoke Triple Diamond, the Denali Black is one of the stock options you will have there. Now, both of these shafts were actually sent to me by Project X. Thank you guys for sending them. So neither one of these was pulled out of a Callaway driver. These were both raw shafts that I cut, everything. So they're identical, not tipped, cut to the exact same length, everything. I actually started putting little labels. My wife bought me like a little label machine for doing, kind of organizing all my little parts and ferrules and all that. So I started using it on shafts as well and putting on here. So, it says like 0 inches tipped. And then basically the cut length from the end of the adapter to the shaft is 43 7/5 inches, which equals a 45-inch playing length for all fits. So been doing that on all these. So a lot of my shafts behind me, you may see on the wall. If you're watching this on YouTube, you may see, little white labels on there. They're basically just the shaft specs. And most of them are all the same. They're, no tipping, whatever. I do have a couple that are a little bit longer that were pulls out of other other drivers, and basically measured them up, made sure there was no tipping, and then, basically labeled them. So I have a couple that are playing like 45 1/4, 45 1/2. I have a couple playing 44 7 3/4. So got a couple little things going. But anyway, back to Denali. Denali is going to be basically the kind of feel shaft for Project X. Hazardous is kind of built as the shaft for the big hitter. They're very stiff profile, especially in the handle section. When you get into some of the blacks and the greens, they're really stout throughout the whole shaft. The profile, you get into like that T1100 that'll be coming back out, and it is literally like extra stiff handle, extra stiff mid, extra stiff tip. It's just very, very stiff shaft. So the Denali here, they're going to be a little bit different design. They're still going to have a pretty firm handle section, but it's actually kind of a shorter taper, or a shorter straight taper. So it's going to taper a little bit faster compared to Hazardous. So Hazardous, I guess, from the design, the handle section is like kind of a straight, straight blank. So it's basically the same kind of diameter the whole way through, and then it starts tapering down, in the midsection or near the tip. Denali's got like a little shorter, straight section in the handle, so it does have just a little bit more flex than the Hazardous line, a little bit more feel to it, a little bit more energy transfer, and that's what they were going for with the Denali. Now, the blue model here is going to be the mid-launch, mid-spin model, and then the black is going to be the low launch and low spin. And I kind of like that Project X came out and called it mid-launch and mid-spin, because I know anytime somebody comes out with a shaft and they say anything other than low spin, people get freaked out by it and go, "Oh, it's not low spin. I can't play that. I have too much spin, whatever." And to be honest, that yes, there's a lot of big hitters that do generate a lot of spin, and they probably have too much spin, and that's great. But there's also, I think, even more players who basically don't have enough spin. Between low spin golf balls, low spin driver heads, and shafts that are built kind of around a decent amount of built around low spin for the most part, they almost get too low spin, and you can have a ball that has too low spin. If you don't have the ball speed for it, a ball that has too low of spin is going to basically come out, have a great trajectory off there, hit it really well, it's going to look really great, and then all of a sudden it just falls out of the sky. And that is basically one of the problems with low spin. Some people also with stuff that's too low spin can have control issues where they just don't hit it as straight. So I liked it that Project X with the Denali Blue came out, said yes, it is mid-launch and mid-spin. I am not scared of having a little spin. I don't carry crazy high ball speed. So for me, I know, I'm not shooting for a 2,000 RPM, golf ball. It's just that's just too low spin for me. That ball's going to fall out of the sky. So graphic wise, building it up, it looks really good. Graphics wise, I like it. It's got this kind of cool silver, icy, snowy handle on it that then fades into blue right under the handle section. The whole Denali logo is kind of edgy and all that. It's got the little 2 silver lines with the flex. So this is like 60 gram 6.5, which is 60 gram extra stiff. And then it goes basically kind of a metallic blue until you get out of the tip, where you'll see the little Project X logo, which is pretty cool. So pretty simple. When you look down at it from a dress, you don't see the logo. You just see a little bit of this white and silver, and then it goes into the blue. The kind of the graphic up near the handle is actually pretty interesting. It's silver with kind of a white background, but it's almost got a little depth to it. I don't know if they do something with the clear coat or whatever, but it almost has like a little bit of depth or thickness to it. Like they did a nice job with the graphic on it. So the Denali Blue, and then the black is the same way. It just fades into black. And this one here, the same thing. It's just kind of that white handle section. It does kind of, the blend into black kind of happens a little faster with this one. But then you have basically just a jet black, gloss black, no metallic really in it, finish up until, again, you get to the Project X logo in the tip. So shafted up both these, no tipping, anything. Both built with the all-fit tips. They do have different grips on them only because I figured I probably wouldn't use the black as much as the blue, so I put, one of these Rip It grips that I have laying around. I put that on there, and then put one of my normal, Amazon cheap King grasps onto the Denali Blue, figuring this will be the one that I probably use more often. But yeah, built them up exactly the same, so they are that same way. And then, so with these ones here, specs on these, when you look at the blue, the Denali Blue in this 60 gram 6.5 comes at 65 grams. It's got the torque rating is 3.5, and it's, mid-launch, mid-spin. The handle section, in terms of the butt outside diameter, is 605, and then they do make a TX version of this, which is the one you kind of see all over tour. It is just slightly, 3.1 degrees of torque, still mid-launch, mid-spin, still 65 grams, so just a little bit tighter, a little bit stouter, the TX version of the Blue. But it's, overall just a really good looking package, and out of the gate, it definitely is probably one of the smoother Project X shafts I've hit. Now, I haven't hit much of the Cypher and some of the other lightweights, but I would say this is kind of on that smoother side like the Even Flow was, or still is, I guess. The Even Flow was a very smooth shaft. I don't think it's a similar profile, but it was very smooth and had offered good feel. I think the Denali Blue does the same thing. It's actually a shaft that as you swing it, you can really kind of feel it load, and as you get down to impact, as the hands kind of slow, as you get down to impact, the shaft really feels like it has a very strong kick that is trying to basically create or use that stored up energy and basically kick itself into the ball and try to produce more ball speed. It just has that lively feel to it that's really, really nice. Now, with that lively feel and having a little softer, tip and midsection than, a lot of the hazardous stuff and even the Denali Black, it does have, but it is, even though having it softer tip and midsection, it still doesn't have that, loose feeling. It's not like, playing a noodle or anything like that. It's still very tight, very controlled. Even if you feel like, hey, I'm going to kind of go after one a little bit, this shaft has a good amount of control to it. And I think that, that handle section being still on the stiffer side, not as quite as stiff as hazardous, but still on the stiffer side. If you're even still a kind of more of a high power player or someone who's got a quick tempo, all that, I think you're still going to feel a good amount of control up in the handle section, and you're just going to feel kind of the shaft flex. Pretty much, it almost kind of feels like it starts flexing right at kind of where the blue section is, maybe right above where the white fades in and silver fades into the blue. But that whole section's in the shaft as it unloads. That's where you kind of feel the shaft really flex and really kick. But it's a good smooth feel. The responsiveness is good. There's no harsh feeling at impact, anything like that. Even on mishits, the feel is solid and tight. And the ball flight, is definitely a little bit kind of higher than you'd expect from a lot of Project X shaft. I think we've been so kind of, trained with Project X and everything, black, yellow, green, even the blue. I mean, everything's kind of built around low launch and low spin. And, there is the hazardous, the smoke red RDX that's a little higher launching, but it's got kind of a stiffness to it. This thing has just a much smoother feel to it and a little softer feel to it than even that red does. It just, like I said, has that flex to it. It just feels like the shaft is really kind of working, and it produces, probably a mid to slightly mid-high ball flight. For me, I felt like, compared to, say, Ventus TR Blue, which is one I played a lot last year, and I think this will get compared to a lot as well. I think it for me launches just about the same, maybe just a smidge higher, not a ton, but maybe just a hair higher than it. But it definitely has a little, like I said, to me, a little bit more active feel than say TR Blue. But really was a great shaft. I will say that this is a little easier to turn over than its black counterpart. This one here, if you're looking to basically square it up a little easier, you're having trouble squaring it up, I think this is a much easier shaft to square up. You don't have to release it as hard or force yourself to release it to get a straight ball flight. And also on the flip side, if you're someone who's looking to hit, a little more draw on like that, you're probably going to be able to do it with Ventus Blue, Denali Blue. Now, Denali Blue, I do have to say, when I was hitting it, I really like the ball flight. I like the trajectory of it. It's definitely higher for me. I feel like the ball speed was up a little bit as well. But I do have to say, I did notice between these two, which, I think you'd expect, this one did have a little more left in all my shots. The starting line was a little straighter to more left. And then also saw, a little bit more draw on the ball here. Now, miss hits were really stable, hitting it low in the heel, hitting it high in the toe. There wasn't a whole lot of twist you felt in the club head. You never felt like the head was trying to flop open if you cut it off the toe. And on the flip side, if you hit it kind of low heel, it didn't feel like the shaft was also going to snap shut. And usually on heel misses, you get some kind of rough, harsh feeling. It's just the way it is. You're hitting, the ball right where the shaft goes into the head, and it's kind of harsh. I felt like this actually reduced some of that vibration, and those heel miss hits weren't quite as bad on your hands with the Denali Blue as some other shafts, And I do tend to kind of miss it in both spots. I'm not, a guy who just has one miss. I've got multiples, but hitting it down there and hitting it up top on the toe, the feel of it still stayed really smooth. You didn't have a ton of vibration. And then, when you hit it dead center, it really had a good solid feel to it. Now I hit both these with I was hitting them both side by side with the Callaway Paradigm AI Smoke Triple Diamond. I got a 10.5 head. I would just set these things both in the neutral setting and was hitting both of these. And we went out there and like I said, the control is really good. Even when you go after it, I feel like this is one of those shafts that is going to give you the launch, give you that maybe little spin you need without being a shaft that you have to worry about where's it going when you hit it. You don't have to worry about, kind of just wayward shots on a good swing or anything like that. It's definitely got some stability to it. For even if when you miss it, it'll stay online fairly well. Now, I'll get into kind of numbers on this one. So, went and I've had a couple different range sessions with these because I've been meant to do these both shafts a while ago. So, overall though, ball speed on the Denali Blue, 145.8. Spin 2815, so 2,815, and that was pretty tight. Like the variation on that wasn't great. Or wasn't huge. Even catching it low on the heel, every once in a while I'd see a 3,000 number pop up, which for me is not uncommon. It doesn't matter what if I'm hitting pretty much a mid launch shaft or something that isn't crazy low spin on misses on low heel misses for me. I can see or low shots in the face. I can see numbers in the threes. I've seen it with other shafts this year as well. So, the 2815 numbers is pretty, pretty much there. And again, hitting kind of range balls. So, not hitting, super premium, Pro V1Xs or anything like that. But that number was pretty tight in the variation. You didn't see it, skyrocket or anything like that on those low shots. And again, there's enough spin there. When I did hit it kind of high toe, there was enough spin to kind of keep the ball in the air and see a good amount of carry with those kind of toe misses that were coming out just a little bit low and going left. So that number was pretty tight. The launch on this one was 13.2, which was actually, pretty similar to some other shafts I've hit that are kind of mid-launch. Again, I think this is kind of that straight mid, maybe just a hair higher than that mid-high launch, but 13.2. And again, that thing there, for me, it varies a little depending on where I make contact on the face. But overall, that was pretty consistent and it looked pretty good. Carry number for this one was 242.3, so 242.3 was my average carry, and I was actually hitting the ball pretty well the other day. So I do have to say I was striking it well, and I put even a couple shots together in a row that were all pretty solid, and even saw some swings and some higher mile per hour numbers that I hadn't seen in a while, and saw some ball speeds that started with 1.5 instead of 1.4, which for me has been good because it's been taking me a little while to get out of knock the rust off from the winter. And then, club head speed average out of all the shots, 99.8, with a smash factor of 146. So really good, for me, decent numbers. And again, I don't delete, the only shots I delete out there are like, absolute, crazy hook or, something where you hit it so low in the face or whatever. Everything else I pretty much leave in there. So that is, not just an average of just perfect shots. It is a little bit of everything. And I figure that's the way to go since that's why I hit it. But really a tight mid-launching shaft. I really do like it. I think this is going to be a pretty popular option for people looking for a mid-launch shaft. And like I said, maybe adding just a little bit more spin. But it really is a solid thing. And like I said, feel-wise, it's probably one of the best feeling shafts I've hit from Project X in the wood lineup. That I can kind of think of. Like I said, maybe Even Flow Riptide, from a little while ago when I had one of those. I had a great feel to it, a good smooth feel, but it didn't have the kind of tight control that I felt like I had with this. So even when I kind of got over the top and down on it a little bit, I never felt like the shaft was getting away from me. That stiff handle section still provided a good amount of control, and even when the tempo got quick, the misses weren't too bad. So Denali Blue, really solid mid-launch, mid-spinner. And I think, again, when you hear mid-spin, don't get scared away by it. I think it's still definitely worth trying, and especially if you're a player. Now, if you're a person who hits like down on the ball, your angle of attack is like down, maybe spin-wise it may be a little higher, but if you're a pretty average angle of attack to even hitting up on it fairly high, you're going to see some fairly manageable spin numbers. It's not going to be a big deal. So, before we get into black, just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Olukai. And Olukai is a Hawaiian-inspired lifestyle brand known for making the most comfortable shoes out there. I've been wearing Olukai sandals for years, but they've now been making golf shoes. They've been making them for about 2 years now. And listen, the name Olukai is two Hawaiian words pushed together. Olo, meaning comfort, and Kai, meaning ocean. But what they have now is kind of special. Olukai, new Lone Palm collection, is specially inspired limited edition shoe collection that commemorates the season opener, paying homage to a lone palm tree that still stands on the 4th hole of the most famous golf course in Georgia. The palm is a reminder of the shared spirit between Georgia and Hawaii, and our way of reminding the world that aloha can be found everywhere. So go to olukai.com, check out the Lone Palm collection. It's pretty cool. A lot of green, yellow, some really cool patterns. I did some cool stuff with the shoes with like a palm tree all over it. I think the styles are awesome. They did they did 3 different shoes, 3 different models, one from like a super casual slip-on, and then they go, 2 other models that are lace-up, golf shoes, aggressive tread. So really good looking. But check out the Lone Palm collection at olukai.com, and then make sure to also, if you go to the Golf WX forums, there's a Lone Palm giveaway in the Golf WX forum. So check that out at golfwx.com. Now we jump into the Project X Denali Black. So Denali Black, again, as we said, low launch, low spin. The specs on this bad boy are going to basically be very similar. This is, again, a 60 gram 6.5. Comes a little heavier, 69 grams, 3.7 degrees of torque. Low launch, low spin, and an outside butt diameter of 605 again. Now this one, same thing. Compared to like a Hazardous Black, because that was one of the interesting things of when you see kind of a Denali Black, low launch, low spin. Well, how does it compare to like Hazardous Black? And again, the big thing is Hazardous Black has a stiffer, stouter, longer handle section that just stays more stiff. This one here, kind of similar. They shorten that up a little bit, adds a little bit of feel, but they still go very, very stiff when you get down to the tip section. So the midsection does, again, has a little bit more taper, provides a little bit more of the flex, but that tip section is definitely reinforced on this one to, control ball flight, lower launch, lower spin. But again, even for being a low launch, low spin shaft, I think this one here has a really good smooth feel to it. I think both Denali shafts, whether you need mid-launch or need low launch, the feel portion of it is really good. Now this one here, when you go to swing it, it does definitely take a little bit more to load. You're definitely not going to feel as much play, as much flex in this shaft. And again, I feel like the flex on this kind of happens in that section right around where, the black and white paint starts to meet. And you can definitely tell in this one that the tip section is just much, much more stout. As you come into impact, there still is that kind of little bit of kick in the midsection, but that tip section in the midsection, but the tip section, it just feels like it doesn't move. It just stays dead straight, and it's extremely stable, and produces a little lower launch and spin shot, and it kind of was lower launch and spin for me. Now, weight on this one is definitely a few grams heavier, and for me, I wouldn't say I get sensitive to it, but if I get too heavy in driver, I start to swing a little harder, start to get a little steeper, and I think with this one, that definitely was a little bit of the case with me. Just the window, again, hitting indoors in a dome and stuff, you can kind of notice a lot of times windows really easily there because there's so much stuff on the back walls. And definitely notice this coming out just a little bit flatter. Now, I will say the start line started a little bit straighter and had a little bit less left to it. So, like when that ball came out, wherever I was aiming, that ball came out pretty much straight there. Even one or two that were just slightly right of that, and that hasn't been my thing lately. Most of my shots are starting dead straight to just slightly left of my target. It's just swing flaw stuff here for me. But the Denali Black definitely had a little bit straighter starting line, and also offered just a lower launch right out of the gate. Without even using a launch monitor, you could just see that it came out, the ball came out a little lower, a little flatter, and also in the only 75 yards you can see, had a little less curve to it. It kind of had a little straighter ball flight just going out there. So definitely a little stouter feel, still smooth. And again, mishits on this, much like the blue, seem to go really straight. And, this one, I noticed a touch more vibration on those mishits, especially down in the heel. You could feel just a little bit more vibration, but it wasn't crazy harsh. It wasn't as bad, again, as some other shafts when, you mishit it and you feel like, the fillings are going to fall out of your teeth because of all the vibration. This definitely mutes a lot of that. Still is a good feel, but you get a little bit more of it compared to the blue. The blue just softens it up a touch more, but stability on it's really good. You hit it out on the toe. It feels like it wants to keep the head, as straight as possible. It doesn't want to flop open or have that feeling that it's flopping open and that ball just fluttering up and off to the right. It kind of feels like it keeps the head straight. Keeps that ball, with, a little bit of spin, keeps the flight down, and, you're able to kind of hit, kind of a low draw and still get something out of it where, you normally probably wouldn't. And then again, heel shots, same thing. The ball, instead of just floating up high spin to the right, this is a low spin shaft. It keeps that spin down. And again, keeps the head pretty square to the target. And you're seeing a little straighter shot with the Denali Black, as well, just like you did with the blue. Now, again, at impact, this thing, you can tell there's a little less energy transfer. It's not kicking as hard. You can go after it as hard as you want with the Denali Black. It's going to stay with you. You're not going to have that feel of that head like lagging behind you and then maybe like flipping at the end or anything like that. It is going to stay with you for, throughout the whole swing, even as hard as you want to swing it. This one, I did find that I didn't swing it quite as fast. I don't know if it's a weight thing or if it's just knowing that it's kind of low launch, low spin, that I try to swing it and hit it a little harder. But I wasn't quite as consistent with this as I was with the blue. It just, I think the blue being soft and having that little bit of feel and that kick, I was able to kind of subconsciously kind of slow it down and swing a little smoother. This one here, I was kind of going after it a little harder just because, it felt a little heavier. I knew it was stiffer, and you knew it just wasn't quite going to go as high or spin as much. So that part of it is on me a little bit, but I think for that player who needs low launch, low spin, and wants the feel, this is going to be a great option for them. Now, in comparison, ball speed was, on average, just a couple miles an hour down. I was at 143.5 instead of 145.8, so a couple miles an hour there, just about. And again, I think it's just a couple more mishits on this compared to blue, and that's just me swinging it and, getting a little steeper. But spin was definitely down. I was at 25.02 was kind of my average, and I saw a couple balls that were right kind of in that 2 range. Had a couple big draws that were actually I think I had 1 or 2 that were 1900 or just at 2000. So saw some pretty low shots there when you hit it. Maybe a little off, little high in the face, little toe, and hit a draw. You could see some pretty low numbers, but overall, it was a super tight window. Again, much like the blue, it was probably even tighter than that. But you definitely did see, you never saw anything high. I want to say that I never saw anything in threes. I want to say probably the 28.15 from the blue was probably about the highest I saw with the black, and that was, something low in the face, just coming up out of it. So, but 25.02, and for me, that's a pretty low spin, and it was in a low spin head. So, saw that there. Launch came in about 2 degrees lower at 11 degrees. And again, I think a little bit of that could be me de-lofting this a little bit as I get a little bit steep. I don't quite come up and hit it up at it as much with this. And then carry was a little bit shorter at 239.7. And again, I think it's just part of that low launch, coming out lower. If I maybe had a higher lofted head, I could probably get this to go closer to the, to the blue. And club head speed 98.3 compared to 99.8. So about 1.5 miles an hour slower there. And again, I think that was just me trying to swing hard, and you know what happens when you try to swing hard, you lose that efficiency, and you don't always swing it faster. So there, and the smash a little bit lower at 144. So again, this is just a little bit heavier, stouter. I think also to me, if I went to kind of like the 6.0 flex in this, just because it's a little stiffer, got that stiff tip. I think that the 60 gram 6.0 would probably play really, really well for me, because again, like I said, with the blue, I definitely saw some 102s. I don't think I saw a 103. I think that's a 102 and a half. But this one here, I was in the low 100s, 100, and then I also saw stuff that got down to some of the mid to slightly high 90s, just trying to swing it hard. But definitely two kind of different feels. Both smooth, both really, responsive, but you can definitely, if you hit these two side by side, you'll definitely notice the stiffer tip section in this black. So for the bigger, faster swinger, or the player who just needs to lower launch a little bit but doesn't want to give up all the feel, or you don't need to get kind of aggressive as, a Project X Hazardous Hulk, you want something a little more feel and all that, this Denali Black is going to be a really solid option. So, that's the big comparison. I know a lot of people kind of thinking, well, they make a low launch, low spin Denali, but they make, a Project X Hazardous 4th gen, or Black 4th gen. They make a Smoke Black RDX, all these. The big thing is going to be kind of the feel on these, and just a little bit softer handle section compared to those hazardous shafts. So if that's what you're looking for, a little more feel, a little more, that type of shaft, something you can feel load a little easier. You don't need to go after it, all the time. The Project X Hazardous Black is a great option there. So Denali Blue and Black, I think they did a good job with both these. I think they're both going to be really solid options for me. I think Black is going to be, we'll see. I don't know how many heads it's going to go in. I don't know if I can. I'll get on the course and see if maybe I can hit it high enough, or maybe put it in one of the higher launching heads and see if maybe it brings it down and kind of neutralizes it. But I think blue I'm going to hit a lot. I'm going to try it in a lot of different heads. I kind of really want to try it in that new Project X, or not Project, the PXG Black Ops, the new one. The standard head is super stable. I think matching it with that, it's a pretty low spin head, but put it in there, a little high launch, a little low spin. That should be a pretty good one. And the same thing in the QI10 Max is trying that there, because I think those max heads with a ton of stability add a little bit of launch there, and it can be really good. So those are two that I'm excited to try it in. And then, like I said, Black, we'll see. We'll see if something launches a little higher there. Maybe I'll toss it in. But right now we'll see. The blue is my favorite. That's the one I kind of like the best. But though, if you go to if you go to TrueTemperSports.com, check out if you go under their wood and hybrid shafts, you'll see the Denali link, and go in there, and they've got blue and black. Check out the specs, check everything out there. They can probably also find your dealer right on there as well if you're looking to try it. But definitely worth trying. If you're looking for low launch, low spin, a little bit of feel from Project X, go Denali Black. If you're looking for a little more height, and can use a little bit more spin as well, but still want a tight feel, Denali Blue. So both options really, really solid. But that's all I've got for today. I appreciate it. Like I said, I know you guys were waiting. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe. It'd be awesome. And also, if you're not following me on Instagram, please do, at Club Junkie Pod. We're going to do Q&A today, Thursday. So look for that, and get your questions in. And, should be a good time. So thank you guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk next week.